Welcome to another edition of 100% Canucks. John, Shannon, Landon, Ferraro. Is the baby in the crib, Landon? I just want to know that.
He's not in the crib. He's at daycare. We're like 2 days out from getting our house back. The flood
I couldn't
has
resist.
been.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. I mean, you're sitting there, the crib's in the back, behind you there, and I would tell you I miss those days, but I'd be lying.
Yeah, well, I definitely miss the days of having my office. My poor kid his crib's now in my office. I moved the baby monitor thinking, well, maybe they'll just think it's like a wood thing in the back, a play area. I don't know. No, it's a crib.
Oh, well, it gives you, people will understand the pressures that the job that you have, working with me and having a child. Some days there are no differences.
Yeah, I don't know which is more stressful, if I'm being honest with you.
I understand. Speaking of stressful news today, that the captain, Quinn Hughes, day-to-day, what do you make of that?
I mean, it's a tough one to hear, right? Like, there's already been so many injuries this year, and Demko goes out after the first period the other night, and then Quinn Hughes followed for a short period of time, but like you could have heard a pin drop in the arena the other night. It was. I just assume, and I'm curious when we get to our guest of what the feeling on the bench was. Because for us up top on the panel, it was like, this can't be happening. Not another big time player, and it's tough. We were sitting right in that end that Hughes and Scheifele got tied up as they're chasing for that puck, and when Hughes came back, to me, it just seemed like he got like a stinger in his shoulder. Your arm gets ripped up and it kind of goes a dead arm. And it doesn't feel good, but you feel all right pretty quick. But the fact that he's listed day-to-day now, it's a tough one for the Canucks.
Yeah. That and the Demko news is not good, which is disappointing when you consider that when he has played so well. The new contract, there was hope, but there was always that asterisk, Landon, if he stays healthy. And that's the problem.
And that's the tough thing, right? Like, it was almost the same conversation with Hedl. It was if he can stay healthy. And it's tough when you're banking on two really important pieces, obviously Demko even more so, of what they mean to this Canuck team. And his numbers were some of the best in October through the NHL, and that was a big piece for them. For him to go out, and I saw a report this morning as well of originally it came out it was 2 to 3 weeks, but then there was a correction of he's listed as week to week, and it's a core muscle, and you need to take your time with it. So hopefully it's on that shorter end of it, and it's only a few weeks. But at the end of the day, I guess that's 100% why they signed Lankinen to a long extension at $4.5 million, because he's going to need to be a big part of this team and give some of that magic that he had last year.
And he has played well this year. I mean, let's face it. Even on the weekend, when you're playing the way he did, he did his job, right?
Yeah, I mean, he goes in there, he battles, and Tyson Barrie had a good point on the broadcast the other night. He's an ex-teammate of his from Nashville, and he said, I've played with a lot of backup goalies that aren't ready every single night, but Lankinen's not one of those. He prepares like he's playing every single night and is ready to go. And you see his post-game interview after that Winnipeg game, and he said just that. He's like, it's my job to be ready every single time we put our jerseys on, and he's come in and done a good job.
Yeah, he has indeed. By the way, I buried the lead. Our guest is Connor Garland. He will be joining us from Raleigh any minute now. Landon and I will be standing by as we wait for Connor to show up on this edition of 100% Canucks.
I won't keep you long. Darren Millard with a tip for everyone who loves great hockey podcasts like this one. John, Shannon, and I host the OG of 100% Hockey, coming your way multiple times a week. The guest list is the best you will find. Multiple shows a week ensures you won't miss out on any news And we dig even deeper into the biggest stories around the NHL. Most of our guests are also friends, so I promise there'll be more conversation beyond the X's and the O's. John really does get bored with that after a while. So join us for 100% Hockey. The name says it all. Subscribe now while you enjoy thinking about it, and enjoy.
Welcome back. 100% Canucks, as promised, Connor Garland from Raleigh, North Carolina. Hey, Connor, just before we talk more about the team, just curious, you like the extra day of travel to get in there and get on Eastern time?
Yeah, I think when you're flying that far, flights seem like never ending. It might have been like 5.5, 6 hours. So you kind of get in at, we got in at 8:30. We left Van around 11. So kind of the whole day's gone. And I'm not sure you could really play too great on a day like today. So it's nice to get a practice and then a dinner, kind of get right into the routine.
Do you ever get used to travel in Vancouver?
It's hard. I enjoy my time on the road. I think, not to be corny, every day in the NHL is a great day. So when you're on the road, you're just hanging out with the guys, having a nice meal, playing cards. It's always fun. Arizona, when I played there, travel was tough as well. So I've never played on an East Coast team where I understand it's a lot different. So this is just all I've ever been used to.
Well, you bring up every day in the NHL is a good day, and you just played your 500th game. You know, when you were first starting off in Tucson, the American League of Arizona, did you think you'd get to 500, or like where are you sitting now that far into your career?
Yeah, I mean, I never thought of 500 as a number. I always thought higher, so I'm happy to keep playing. But
there you go.
I think I thought I was always going to make it. I think ignorance is bliss, and I didn't know how far I had to go and how much work I had to put in. So I think having a belief in yourself helps a lot when you're young and you struggle in the minors. And you're kind of almost too dumb to realize guys are passing you. So, I got better a lot though, very fast. So that helped. But yeah, I don't think a lot of people in the organization or in hockey probably thought I was a guy that was going to make it and play for a while. But I've been fortunate to do it, and I still got a long ways to go.
You talk about the learning lessons. Was there a watershed moment? Was there one moment that you could say, holy smokes, I need to do this to make sure that I can get to the next level?
Yeah, it's a great question. I was he won't get in trouble now because there's no guys on the team to be angry at him. But when I was in Tucson, my second year, I didn't have any family or friends come out for Christmas. And I didn't want to travel home. We only had 3 days. And one of the assistant coaches, Steve Potvin, and I were close, and he texted me, "What am I doing?" And he just said, "Come up and have dinner with my family." So I went up and I spent Christmas with his family. And I think before I left, we were playing pool or something with his kids. And I remember him just asking me, a question, and I just answered it. But it was more of, I was kind of just putting blame on things going on. Like, this guy plays more, this guy plays more. And, he was just kind of like, you had to look at yourself. Like, why would we play you? You think we don't want you to succeed? Everybody wants you to succeed. You just got to play well. And it wasn't, you kind of turned, my 22-year-old brain was thinking, the organization wasn't helping me. And he was, kind of made me realize they want to help you. They want you to make it just as bad as you do. You got to believe in us. And I just remember having that dinner and that talk, and it kind of changed my mindset. And I probably lasted another 40 games in that league after that, as silly as it sounds.
That was at a point in your life when you thought there was no such thing as life after hockey?
True. At 22, yeah, you think you're, I still might be at that point, so I don't know.
Well, I must warn you, there is life after hockey.
Yeah. We'll see.
So over the last couple of years, like your game, not that your game has changed, but your ice time definitely has. A couple of years ago, you're at 14 and a half minutes. You're almost up 6.5 minutes. Like, you're averaging 21 minutes a night now. Did you have to change anything in how you prepared for the season to handle those minutes? Or, because again, like, you don't take a shift off. You're involved all over. Your engine's always going. Did you just have that work in you, or did you have to kind of plan it out to make sure you could handle those minutes and still produce?
Yeah. Oh, I think when I was playing 14, I still trained to be able to play 20. I think when I was younger and I didn't have a complete game and I was playing 14, 15, if our team was losing, I still had the offensive side for a coach to lean on and play you, 7, 8 minutes in the third to try to catch. So I always felt good when I played higher minutes. But over an 82 game stretch, yeah, it's a little different. There's something I added nutritionally, definitely, mentally, for sure. But I think I've just been fortunate to add stuff into my game that adds minutes. If you kill, that's a minute or two every night. I try to get better at the power play each and every day, continue to work at it. I feel like I took a good step this summer. So you can play more there. And then 5-on-5, be more responsible. You'll go out more. So I think that's just for any young guy. You're trying to find more minutes. You got to add stuff to your game. So the coach wants to put you out there.
How would you define the season so far?
I think it's exactly what we are. We're a 500 team. I think we've left games out there. That first road trip, I think I've said it before, that Nashville-Pittsburgh game really hurt us. I think we didn't close that road trip out well. We have a really tough schedule in front of us right now. We're getting healthier. I think some guys are coming. Obviously, losing Demmer for a little bit hurts us. But everybody's dealing with injuries. It's a condensed schedule. You look at any roster, everybody's got a lot of injuries. That's just the nature of it right now, and it's tough. But we got to just find a way to stay healthy and get on a roll. But we got a good group. We got a group that plays hard, plays for each other. It's just got to click, and when it does, I feel like we're gonna be a pretty good team.
I'm going to steal Landon's questions here because it was so good, and the time to ask it is right now. So you're sitting on the bench, and Thatcher doesn't come out for the second period, and then Quinn and Mark Scheifele collide in the corner. I mean, my goodness gracious. What's the thought process? What goes on the bench? And are there any discussions about, holy smokes, what's going on?
No, I think if you're going to have those discussions, to be completely honest, those will happen after the game. But Quinn came back, so we're very fortunate there. I didn't know Demmer. I don't sit in the locker room the whole time, so I didn't know that was going on until we kind of were walking out. But obviously, I think he's the best in the world. So when you lose the best, goaltender in the world, that hurts any team. But we have Lanks, and we trust Lanks. Just like we trust Demmer. He's fantastic. He was unbelievable when he went in there. So, we're just. Obviously when Huggy goes down, yeah, but it's the same as anybody. We got good pieces all over our lineup, so it's just the next man up mentality. But fortunate for us, Huggy came back.
Tyson Barrie was saying on our broadcast the other night, talking about Lankinen, because he played with him, about how he prepares every game like he's going to play, whether he's starting or backing up. When you have a guy that is that committed and treats his craft the way he does, on top of the skill that he's shown last year and his starts this year, does that put your group a little bit at ease, though, knowing that you're not throwing a young kid in there that you don't know what you have?
Well, I think for our group, it adds a level of confidence, I think. And it should be a good lesson for a lot of guys that, if we got a guy who's not even playing, taking the game this serious, you got to be ready to play because we got guys bought in. So it's fun to watch. I sit near him in the locker room. He studies film. He watches his practice video. He does a lot. He's as dedicated as they come. So he's a great teammate to have. He's a really good person to look at for young guys. But yeah, to have him jump in when something happens to Demmer, a lot of confidence. You saw last year it happened. So, but no, he's a great pro. He's a great teammate, and we are fortunate to have him.
So I'm going to, you said something earlier that during intermissions, you're not necessarily in the room. Where the heck are you?
Not the whole time. No, I like to walk. I'm not a big sitter in between periods. I like to keep in motion.
You go on the viaduct or something? Where do you go?
No, I just walk around. We have a pretty big area. So I'll maybe walk to the trainer's room, grab something, walk around, and then I'll sit with about 8 minutes to go. But I don't know. I've just never, maybe too anxious just to sit there and think about the game. I like to just kind of walk around that area in the equipment room, our little lounge in the trainer's room. I mix it up.
Oh.
Yeah, that was me too. The longer I sat there, the worse it was for my game. I'd start thinking about everything. I'd plant right down in the equipment room. Those guys are the best. You can kind of get away for a couple minutes and reset again.
Yeah. You can't. It's too long. You can't sit there think about every. Like last game, I could have had one at the end of the first. It's like, why would I go sit there and just think about missing a chance for 20 minutes? I'll just walk around, see, somebody's there. I mean, you can talk for 3 minutes and then you kind of get back at it. It is a long time sitting there if it's not going well.
You take your skates off?
No, I don't take any. I take my tops off. That's it. I don't take too much off. If I'm not playing well, I usually don't take up any gear. I just kind of sit there. That's I'll take off my helmet and gloves and then I walk around and all that stuff. But if I'm playing well, usually I take off more gear. I don't know why.
Let me ask you this though. So you look at the guys that like take their skates off, they're taping sticks. They've got so much going on. Does that not just seem like a lot of work to jam in an intermission?
Yeah, that adds stress to me. I don't want to see anyone. Like, who'd we have a couple years ago? He was late Kuzmenko. Every intermission, he would take everything off, and then Talk would come in around like 6 or 7 on the clock, and Kuzi would be late. Like he would just be getting his skates on once Talk left. 4.5 minutes. I was like, this guy. How do you do this every game? But that stresses me out. That I don't enjoy seeing that at all.
I can't imagine. Of course, I could never, 17 minutes. It's a 17-minute window now for the intermission. That doesn't sound like very long to me to even go for a walk.
Oh, it's just, I'll tell you, it's longer if you sit. Once you sit there for 17 minutes, you're just watching the clock. Then it's long. But if you're walking, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got 8 minutes left. Okay, now I can reset and get, listen to footy for a minute or two. And then I kind of get in onto my own stuff and, maybe watch if Huggy wants to show me some on the power play where I didn't give it to him. I'll watch that too.
Hey, and are you one of those guys that how many pairs of gloves do you wear during game?
I wear one pair of glove for probably the whole season. I wear one pair of skates for like a season and a half. So I'm the equipment guy's favorite guy. Yeah, I don't use much gear at all.
So that's where all the money for your extension came from. They're not having to buy gear, so you take it on the back end.
Yeah. They made money on that deal. I saw a video the other day. They were talking about guys, how many skates they use a year. Somebody said they switch every 4 games. It takes me. I'm trying to break new ones in right now. It'll take me probably a month to break these skates in. So, and then I'll wear them for a season and a half. So, I don't use much gear.
I think Ray Bork used to change his gloves every shift.
I thought it was it every shift, every period. I knew he used 3 a game, and maybe Clayton Keller uses. I played with Kells. It was every 3 shifts. He just goes gloves, and I was. I thought that was my way to make the Coyotes is use no gear.
Well, actually, I hate to tell you, it was the way. For you
to Henrik Zetterberg would get he'd use the 3 pairs a game, or 6, sorry, because he'd use 2 a period. He'd get his palms, all of them redone after every single game.
Oh.
Poor Chico's sadly passed away now, one of the trainers in Detroit. He'd be sitting there after the game instantly, starting to take the palms out and get going on the new ones.
That's brutal. I had to bring this summer at the Worlds. I brought my gloves from like my first time going there because that was the only USA gloves I had. And I finally broke the new ones in for the semifinal game. Like I would wear them every warm up, like every morning skate, every practice, and then finally I remember going out for the semifinals games. Like, okay, they feel good now. I'll use these ones. That was like it took me the whole tournament. So it is tough for me to break in gear.
Speaking of Team USA, have you heard any more from Bill Guerin's group?
Oh no. I don't think they have. They'll have such a good team. I mean, we guys. I talk just like anyone else. I'm a fan of hockey, so we talk just like anybody else. Who's going to make Canada? Who's going to make U.S.? There's so many fantastic players, so it will be a great tournament. That'll be really exciting.
So if you're not there, you're going to be glued to your television.
Yeah. If I'll be as big of a fan as anybody for U.S. I mean, I know a lot of those guys that will be on the team, but. They're just hopefully those 2 teams can see each other once because that would be as good as the game as you'll see.
I'm curious in the room. Do you get national rivalries in a club team dressing room? Is there lots of ribbing?
No, we have a lot of guys that will go. Teddy
Right.
will go, Roni, Petey, Huggy, I think are the guarantees. Reichs is a guarantee. So we got a lot of guys that will go. So no, there hasn't been much like banter on that point. Just I think a lot of excitement for the tournament.
And shifting back to the year here, like you guys have been playing, I feel, decent amount better as of late, a bit more aggressive on the attack. Like, is there a part of the game over the last bit you've seen that you like, but you guys are playing? Like the net front has been a definite positive. You guys have been really getting in there, and you had one a couple nights ago on a good rebound from Myers. And like, what part of the game do you see your teams taking a good step in?
I think our power play has gotten a little better as of late. I think we've added some concepts. Still think there's a lot of room for us to grow. Myself included on the left half wall or bump or whatever me and Brock do. We have room to grow, but I think we've taken a good step. I feel like we've gone out there recently and thrown any duds and killed momentum, which is a good step. But I think a 5-on-5. I think when we get rolling in the offensive zone, we can get some shifts together. The concepts we have as a group are working, and we're listening to the plan from footy. And the stuff we've implemented recently has worked. So I just feel like, when we're going well. We just have to find a way. We're a young team. You in a certain game you can have lulls and stuff. So that's something we just would love to clean up.
I actually think when you look at what you guys have done on the road, when you consider the manpower that you haven't had on the road, I think you've been great on the road this year, haven't you?
Yeah. I missed the last road trip, but it was a great trip.
That was the one that they went 2-1 on that, and then you won the first 3 games of that 5-gamer.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And
yeah,
that's when you were talking about how disappointing the last 2 games were, correct?
Correct, because you would start that trip saying 3-2 is a good trip, but when you're 3-0, it's all of a sudden you'd love to go 4-1, 5-0. So changes pretty quickly. But no, we've been good on the road. We play good. We play with pace. I think we've been good at home as well. I just find in some parts of the games, we'll give up 2-3 quick ones. Obviously, our kill. I'm on the kill. We'd love to take a huge step as a group. The game last night, Winnipeg, it's a tough one. Guy throws it to the middle and makes a spinorama shot. It's kind of a fluky one, but it goes in your net and kind of cost us the game.
Well, but they were having more issues recently than you were. That's the other thing. People forget the other teams are having problems too at times. Right? I mean, Winnipeg went 3-0 and 0-3 in California.
I didn't know that. It's hard. It's hard. I'll tell you. Usually, if you could ask me during a regular season, like what those standings look like, I could give you a good guess. This year, it's too many games, and like I didn't even know Colorado. Someone told me McKinnon had 3 points in Anaheim. I asked them when they played back to back, and then they played Anaheim again. 3 games in like 4 days. Yeah. I couldn't believe how much they're playing. So everybody's playing a lot, and it seems like the standings change on a weekly basis.
So how do you manage you're going to play Raleigh tomorrow, and then you got the 2 teams in Florida. How do you manage the 3 and 4? I mean, what's the mindset, and how do you manage the physicality of what those 3 games are like?
Oh, well, again, sound corny, but the mindset is just, I'm always grateful to play no matter how tired I am. I tell myself that before games. I always, my 10-year-old self would be happy to be playing if he was, sick as a dog, or he's happy to be out there. So that always helps. But I have a routine. I do work. I work out the night before games at the hotel gym, and I feel good. And I'll just go throughout my whole process I have for as long as I've been a pro. And I feel like it gives me the best chance to have my legs and have my brain for every game.
On the media side, we've talked a decent amount recently about basically having no practice time. And, I'm down there watching your guys' morning skates. They've walked you through D-zone stuff. You've worked on your power play. Like, how different is it this year with the condensed schedule? And again, that's for every team, not just you guys, but having to have more meetings and one-on-ones and try and do walkthroughs. How different, and are you, I assume, that you're a guy that loves practice. Like, you just love putting your stuff on. So, like, do you mind it, or like how is that going?
Yeah, I enjoy the 5-on-5 drills. It's the walkthrough ones are tough for me. I'd rather just do it at full pace. But the meetings are longer this year. I think we're a different team than we had been in the past. I think with a veteran team, it might be easier just on video, and everybody kind of understands we have a very young club. So, we got to do the walkthroughs, and just small details are so important that we have to do it. But yeah, morning skates, definitely. I've never done a morning skate where we were doing 5-on-5 drill, D zone. So that was a first, but that's how it is. I think the most important thing for guys is just, practices are so system based that it's not in flow, and it's not a lot of like skill work, unfortunately, this year. So personally, we just have to keep working at your own game when you have time, and find time to get on the ice and work at your craft and your scoring and your playmaking ability. So your skill keeps getting better as the year goes on.
You would want more practices, though, right?
Yeah. I think as a team, for sure. I know the coaches do. But it is tough. It is tough because it's a mix of, I'd love to rest today,
right?
Or you got to practice, and if you go out and practice slow, you're going to play slow. So it's hard to play 3 and 4, and then practice the next day at a pace that will be beneficial for your game. So it is tough.
Yeah, got to ask you. Quinn took a lot of abuse after the Winnipeg game for being abrupt in the media. Some of us would think it's unfair. Some of us think that that as the captain he has to be a little more giving. I'm not asking you to talk about Quinn. I'm curious how you feel, and how do you deal with the media, and how do you manage those situations, knowing full well that those guys have jobs to do as well as you do, and you're going to see them after every game.
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, I will say I'm fortunate not to be on Twitter, so I didn't know that about Quinn.
You're not on Twitter?
No, which is great advice for anyone who plays in a hockey market. But I think with the media, yeah, they have a job to do. And like I said, I didn't get to see it, but he got banged up in the game. We lose on a 6-on-5. We had a little hope. 6-on-5 was my fault. So, his guys that were out there were probably high strung and upset. So, that's just it's a one-off for him. So it's not a big deal. I think he's great with the media. I think he speaks very well. See him at team events. He's great with speeches, and he's great in the community. So, but yeah, I think the media, especially in Vancouver, they have a job to do. It's a privilege to play in a city that's so invested. I've played in a city where it was just one reporter after every game. So, it's a partnership, and I think as players we do a pretty good job though dealing with the media here.
A few games ago, Adam Foote switched up the forward lines. You're with Petey, and they switched up Besser and DeBrusque to try and get a bit more depth and open up some space for you guys. How do you think that's gone? It seems like lines have been able to find a bit more consistency in the offensive zone, getting that zone time.
Yeah, I think we were maybe trying to find a more offensive, second and third line. So, Woody obviously playing unbelievable for us has helped, and OC playing really, really well for us has helped. So when you have two guys in, the middle six there playing at such a high level, you can have two more lines there. I think for me, Petey and Kane were kind of having a hard match as of late, just playing against the other team's top line. So that's been, for us, defense first and try to win the matchup as best you can. I think, we did pretty well against the Winnipeg, top guys. I think they got their goals on the power play, but, to have guys like Woody, Kiefer step up, Rats, it helps the lineup, and it takes a little pressure off top guys.
And you bring up O'Connor there. Sherwood's gotten a good amount of love over the last year and the start of this year, and rightfully so. But O'Connor is just coming off his best offensive stretch that he's had in his career in that 6-game point streak he was on. What have you noticed in his game that has got him to where he is right now?
I think he took a big step this summer. He spends his summers in Boston and skates with me. And I think he worked a lot at his craft this summer, and he has a lot more confidence with the puck. Instead of just relying on dumping it in, he'll hold on to it. He has a lot more poise with the puck, can use his backhand really well for passes. So I think him really working at his game this summer is paid dividends, and you can see it in training camp. And especially preseason. I remember telling him in the preseason how good he looked, and I think he got off to a little bit of a slow start, but it was a lot of like he was missing chances, missing breakaways, and it wasn't showing up on the score sheet. But guys knew how well he was playing, and then they start going in, and you get some press. So that's kind of how it works. But he's been playing great for a long time for us. But it's a lot of credit to how hard he worked in the summer.
I didn't realize his hands were that good.
Yeah, he's so big. So I met OC in a summer game. I didn't know who he was, but he had the Dartmouth helmet on, and I said to our coach, who was a lot of the guys' agents in Boston, Matt Cater, I said, "Who is that?" And he's like, "It's Drew O'Connor. He's one of my guys." And I was like, "Well, Drew O'Connor's going to play in the NHL. He's really, really good." I never heard of him, so fortunate to meet him, and I kind of got his number and started asking him to come skate with us, and we're lucky to play with each other now, but he really did take a big step this summer, so I was happy for him.
And you've touched on Kiefer Sherwood being effective this year. I mean, holy smokes, he's become a sniper.
Well, he's always had that shot. He used to score a bunch in the minors. I think when we signed him, I remember that was kind of our thought is, he scored in the minors. It takes a while. You never know. So I think people maybe not expected him to be on pace for 45, but he easily can be a 20-goal scorer, 25 every year with his shot in the pace he plays with. So he's become a very, very good player for us.
And I got to bring it up. You've brought it up a couple times, but with the PK, it's been tough this year so far. And how much of that is you've lost some penalty killers from last year? You're trying to bring new guys into the PK group. Now some of those are getting hurt, like just the shifting of the players that are available to what you're trying to get done.
Yeah, I think, obviously Teddy getting hurt hurts us. That's our first guy over the boards. So when he was available, we did get off to a really good start, which I can't remember what game it kind of started to slide. Maybe after Washington, I want to say maybe that Pittsburgh game was our first tough one. Mm-hmm. We lost a lot of guys. We've tried to go in and out, but we all just have to be a little better. I mean, it's when you lose confidence and you start over compensating and trying to do somebody else's job, that's kind of what happens. But if we can just get on a little bit of a run, get some confidence, we got some really good killers on our back end with Mizey, Roney, Marcus Pettersson, Forby when he gets healthy. So we just first we got to get solidified as a group, and then when we get healthy, we'll just keep getting better and better.
Okay, so here, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, following that up, like how hard is it, because you guys clearly want to have a pressure PK and you do a good job of it, especially on entries. Like it's hard for the other team to get set up, but kind of to your point of what you're just saying, like you want it to go better. You're trying to do so much to make that go better. How hard is it to, once they get set up, back off the pressure a little bit so that you're not just running around, trying, you know what I mean? Like trying to take it from, Yeah,
you don't want to get caught in between. That's the only thing. It's either, one goes, we're all going, or if somebody's backing off, you can't have somebody go in and leave another opening. So that's the only thing, might come with, we get more comfortable with pairs, and you understand. I know that's what made Teddy and Pugh so good last year, is they were together the whole year. They understood. You can kind of read each other's body language and know when they're going, know when they're holding. So, and communication. You got to talk on your days off when you're not playing. Like, hey, you should watch video with each other. And but I think the pressure is more. It's either as a group or we're not going.
Okay, so here are the two most important questions. Who are you going to dinner with? And do you go with the same guys all the time?
No, we've mixed it up a little bit this year. I don't know. I haven't got my text yet, but most likely the young guys stick together. So I give them credit. They've been with each other for a while in Abbotsford, and but I don't know. Probably Roni, Huggy, Bess, Petey, Mizey. Maybe the older guys. I'm the older guys now, so maybe the older guys.
Yeah. And who's in the card game? That's what I know. That's the most. Who's in the card game?
Yeah, we play a board game at our table. It's called Super Talk, and it's me and Brock versus Jake and Petey, and we just keep a tally all year who wins the more games. So,
last question to you, Landon.
Well, I mean, just sticking on that topic of being on the road, like, are you a big steakhouse guy, or like, would you try spread it around, or are you the same meal night before game?
Yeah, if I were to pick, I would go steak, plain baked potato, and a vegetable. But I have to get dessert every game. So me and Brock, no matter what, we go get ice cream somewhere in the city. It's kind of our thing together. We've done it since I've gotten here, and it's a cool little tradition me and him and have. But no, I go to a restaurant. I never picked a restaurant. I never say anything. If we order as a group, I sit there in silence. But if it's guys who are ordering for themselves, then I'll get my usual. But I usually just follow the herd for dinner.
So you don't care at all until it gets to ice cream time.
Correct.
Then you're taking it serious.
If it's Italian tonight or if it's steak, seafood, I have no say. I just get in the Uber and I go. But then after like I'm on like Google Maps during dinner trying to find if we're going to Dairy Queen, Cold Stone, or someplace.
Okay, so the best ice cream in the league is where?
It's a good question. Here's not bad. They got Ben and Jerry's next to our hotel. Florida on the beach has a nice little walk, and they have a little hidden Haagen-Dazs. But that's a good question. Maybe Winnipeg. Winnipeg is a good spot, actually. We get it DoorDash from Winnipeg. Too cold to go walk for it, but we get it DoorDash.
I was about to say, in Winnipeg, are you just grabbing milk and just standing outside for a couple minutes?
Don't be so hard on Winnipeg, you guys. Come on.
No. It's just too cold. Actually, we get that DoorDash, but that's when a lot of guys join, and we'll get it to our room, and we have like 6 or 7 guys in there.
Listen, Connor, thanks for this. I know that you've been on before, and we really appreciate your time, and we really enjoy it.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
That's Connor Garland. Landon and I'll be back after this on 100% Canucks.
All right, listen up. Today I want to talk about giving 110%. Giving 100% means giving everything you got. Giving 110% means giving 10% more than is humanly possible. If we're going to win as a team, we need 100% of you guys giving 110% 100% of the time. If only 50% of you guys give 110% and 50% of you guys give 100%, I guarantee you 100%, we'd only win 50% of our games. Suppose 75% of the 110% gave only 50%, and 50% of the 100% gave 25%, and 75% of the 110% were not feeling 100%, then we'd be in a heap of trouble. That's why we need 100% of you guys giving 110% 100% of the time. Okay. Let's go out and play some hockey.
Okay, let's get to the brass tacks of this, Landon. Are you a dessert guy on the road?
Oh, always. Honestly, really? I was a lot like Connor in that regard. I didn't really care where the meal was going to end up because I knew it was going to be a good meal, regardless of where we got. But the dessert side, I was a big fan of like the chocolate lava cake and ice cream. Yeah, again, you got to look at my body. Like, I could afford all the extra calories. So throwing an extra little bit of that. But ice cream at the end of the night, always key.
I could afford the extra calories too, but my wife kept asking how big I was trying to get. So, but it's, and by the way, that I would assume the locations of dinners were different in the NHL than they were in the AHL, correct?
For the most part, yeah. The other part was you just knew, like, you looked at the road trip a lot more in the American League because you got your per diem pack as well. It's not quite as high as the NHL, but you generally save it and blow it out on one real good one on the road. Okay,
so Friday night, Raleigh, then trip to Florida for 2, 3, and 4. This is not an easy trip, to say the least, with 3 time zones difference and then coming home. How do you value it? How do you measure success on this road trip?
Well, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's about points. And for the way that this team has been playing, and even with everything going on, like they've been in games. And, Connor alluded it too. Like there's games that they've kind of handed away for different mistakes, and they're right there. I'm really interested to see how the 3 games go. It's 3 pretty different styles of hockey that the other teams play as well. So how they can adjust to it. Carolina's a lot of speed, and you got to be able to get through the neutral zone on them and be smart with the puck. The next 2 are a bit more physical and obviously skill mixed in there. But for them, I'd say it's more about the Canucks than what the opponent is right now, and how they prepare themselves, how their young group is feeling going into it, playing with confidence, really dialed into being smart with the puck, not taking unnecessary risks, because it's a tough job right now. But I think they're doing decent. I think they're gonna have to be really ready to go for all 3 of those games, though.
So if I told you they would be 1-1-1 after the 3 games, are you saying that's a success?
I would say you're probably pretty happy with that, for sure.
Okay.
I mean, you're obviously shooting for higher than that, but at the end of the day, with some of the pieces that are out and the travel and 3 and 4, and again, it's not trying to make excuses for the Canucks. This is happening to every single team out there. But it's the same conversation.
I'm fascinated when he talked about not being able to keep track of the games, because I'm having a difficult time, and I'm not playing the games, but the compacted schedule is just throwing a wrench into everybody's life.
Yeah, well, I mean, before we started recording this pod, I told you that the last game was Sunday. Well, no, it was Tuesday. All the days are blending together here. It feels like we're in mid-February getting through the slog of the season, but it's mid-November.
It is mid-November, and the Canucks are on the road. Hurricanes, Lightning, Panthers on this road trip. Thanks for this, Landon.
Yeah, we'll talk later. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening and watching this edition of 100% Canucks.